Okay, so hey everyone, this is Carroll Moon with KidFit. I'm here with Coach Brad Dixon. He is at Central High School in Camp Point, Illinois, and he coaches everything: football, track, weightlifting, just everything there. And I'm excited to have him here representing the Panthers and telling you his story. We'll get to him in just a second. I do want to take a minute to tell you about KidFit. Our mission is to provide mentoring and opportunities for kids of every background, whether they can pay or not, using athletics and sports as a way to do that. The intention is we'll have camps. We're in the process of leasing a building now so we can do training, and then ultimately for kids who have potential and can do more, we're going to make travel teams available to them as well and help take care of that cost. You can see our all of our Twitter and Instagram, social media stuff there. And I do ask that you subscribe to our channel. We're blessed to, so far, release these role model interviews each week. And as long as God continues to provide great people to interview, we'll keep doing that. So speaking of that, let's get to the man of the hour. Coach Dixon, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks. It's definitely feel very humbled to be on something like this when you reached out to me. We're kind of in rural America here in Illinois. We're in a small school district, only about 250 students. Our school that I'm at right now is right in the middle of about cornfields on all sides. So to be able to have this platform is very humbling.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. I'm grateful. You know, the beauty of it is, it doesn't matter who you are or where we're at and all that. You're doing great things out there, and I'm thankful to have the opportunity to meet you through this. Will you tell me about your playing career a little bit?
Yeah, so I always knew I wanted to play football. Obviously played football in junior high, transitioned to high school, and wasn't very good. I was about 5'7", 200 pounds, really hadn't hit puberty yet, but I loved being around the game. I was kind of a student of the game. So at that time, our defensive coordinator, this was before we had all this video and all these things, said, hey, would you be willing to come on Friday nights, stand next to me on the sideline and write down all of our defensive calls? And I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. You know, I'm a freshman. And so my freshman year, I was got to kind of hear what all the calls were, and it kind of really got me on the coaching side. And then I kind of grew up, hit puberty, and, I was kind of the leader of the team through high school, played both sides of the ball, tried to be kind of that coach on the field. And so that first year I was blessed to be able to go play college football at a little Division III school in Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois. No money, no scholarship money. It's essentially at the D3 level, the best players you played against in high school every day. And it was kind of that small school all-star team, so to speak. And so I went there. At that time, I was going to be a computer science major, and I really didn't like that field. And I ended up transferring after that first year. And that was kind of a blessing in disguise because that got me into coaching football at age 19. So I came back that next fall and was able to start coaching.
Oh, man, that's awesome. And that's a little bit about your coaching career. I know you're at Central High School now. What is that where you've been the whole time, or have you been at other places?
No, so when I was 19, I left Knox College and went to junior college, and that gave me the opportunity. I lived at home with my parents. I had about a 50-minute commute to school, and when I'd set up my classes so I could come back and coach football in the fall. So I coached at my alma mater for 4 years while I was going to college, which really then helped me land my teaching job because when I graduated from college in May of 2007, I had 4 years coaching football and basketball experience. So they could pay me as a first-year teacher, but get some of those experience coaching. So at that time, I came down to Camp Point, had no idea where it was, Central High School. Thought maybe I'd be here for a couple years, and 11 years later, I've been here. Met my wife here, got married here, got 2 kids now, and, God always has a plan for how things are going to work out. I didn't know. I was just taking a leap. It was the first job that was offered to me, and I didn't think I could wait around, and, the rest is kind of history on how it's played out.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you coach everything, right? I mean, football and track and strength. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I started coaching basketball and football. That was my beginning. I did that for about 14 years. And once I got a family and got married, it was harder to go right in from football right into basketball season. And so 2 years ago, I gave up coaching basketball, and the track job happened to open up in the middle of the year. And I thought, you know what? a lot of these guys that I would like to have out for football or are out for football need to do something in the spring. So I'll give track a shot. One of my football assistants was the head track coach, and so I've been doing that now for 2 years. And I'm a guy that likes to be around sports, so I talked to my wife. I said, well, what do you think about me being a basketball official? I can pick and choose what dates I'm going to officiate. I won't have any practices. I won't have Saturday mornings. I won't have early morning before school. She goes, yeah, I think we could do that. So over the last 2 years, I've officiated probably almost 70 basketball games in the winter, coaching those sports and run the strength program. So keeps me busy. Thankfully, my wife understood what she was getting into. I was a coach when we got together and when we got married, so she understands those demands. And it definitely takes a special woman to be a coach's wife for sure.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And I know faith has a lot to do with, you even mentioned here while we've been talking about God having a plan. Can you tell me why Jesus is so important to you?
Yeah, I mean, I was the kid that went to church as a kid, didn't really understand other than I was supposed to sit there, dress up, sit there, be quiet, not make a scene, check the box off and go home. And that was kind of my childhood. And then kind of got away from it through high school and college and, made not the smartest decisions. And really when I moved down here, and this is why I always say this is part of God's plan, I moved down here and met my wife and their family, which is very heavy into the church and Jesus and Bible study. And so she said, well, why don't you start coming to church with us on Sundays? And it was a non-denominational church where you can, come in your jeans if you want to. You're not judged on what you look like. And got in there, I don't know, I'd say probably in about 2009 or 10. So I'd probably been out of church for almost 15 years. I believed in God and that kind of stuff. Probably didn't really understand the connection between Jesus and God and those types of things. And it really hooked me. And ended up I had been baptized as a kid. I don't even remember it. Got rebaptized probably in 2012. We go to church. We're in a small group. We greet one weekend a month at our church. It's a church of on a weekend. There's 8 campuses. But most importantly, I understood that church wasn't the biggest thing. It's Jesus is the biggest thing. And for people that make mistakes like I was making, I was able to understand that there's someone that has paid the ultimate sacrifice for those mistakes, and there's hope. When things don't go the way you want them to here, there's a plan and there's hope. And for young kids that I get to teach and coach, sometimes that's all they have. They come from broken families and broken homes, and if there's a way you can point them towards the direction of someone that has unconditional love, that agape love where you don't have to do anything in return. If you recognize him and take him into your heart, and you do your best to do the right things, knowing that you're going to fail from time to time, but that he has your back. I mean, I think for kids that have never heard that message, it gives them a sense of hope that there is something better out there than maybe the situation they're in right now.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And with sports, we talk about how you've been coaching and playing basically your whole life. You talked about early high school and that kind of stuff. Football is important to you, track, weightlifting, all these sports. You say you just even refereeing just to be around it in the wintertime. Why are sports so important to you?
I think personally it's I'm competitive, and my last game of my senior year, we were 8-1, and the team we were playing we had beat the week before, and we lost that first round playoff game, and I just remember that being ripped away from me. I always thought I had more time. And so coaching was a way for me to stay in that competitive nature when I knew that I was never going to be able to play again. And so that's where it started. It started really selfishly.
And I think coaching gave me a way to still keep that competitiveness because I'm a competitive person. And unfortunately, I kind of coached that selfish way for a long time where, I didn't really understand it at the time. But Joe Ehrman talked about it in his book about being a transactional coach versus a transformational coach. And I was a transactional coach big time. As long as you performed well, we praised you. And if you didn't, then we replaced you. And I really didn't understand that other component of it. And I'm glad, that I've grown up in my days of coaching. I mean, part of that was I was probably 19. as far as playing those sports. But, for me, when I think about it now, it's more about the team building and the relationships. And I think back when I played, those things were important, but I didn't think about that when I first started coaching. But, like in football, it's the sport where you get the most people together at one time. We average somewhere between 45 and 60 players. And anytime you've got to perform for each other and go out there and lay it on the line for each other, I think right now, my best friends in life were guys that I've either played with or coached with through sports. And from a coaching perspective today, like I said, I might be all they have. People that grow up in some interesting homes and maybe there's not a dad in the picture and so forth. They've maybe never really been around a male role model figure. And as a coach, through the sport of football or track, I can provide that for them. And I think that's kind of the purpose, way more than winning games. It's being that mentor to kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's basically a segue into that combination of Jesus and sports to you. You see it as a ministry to be able to provide that to kids, right?
Yeah, it's an accountability part. If I'm going to talk about and be about a certain way of life, then I better live that every day in my life. And there's no better accountability partners than a team of 50 high school kids that are going to point out, every time you don't live according to the things that you're asking them to do. And so, I fail daily. There's times that I'll get upset over things that I know I shouldn't. But I'm not scared to talk about the kids, and I'm not scared to apologize and say, that's not the way that I should have reacted in that situation. And hopefully it gives the kids an opportunity to see that we're so much more than about football. And we've started doing some pretty awesome things on our team with a team retreats. We're going on another one this year where we take an entire weekend and we don't talk about football. We don't bring a football. We spend an entire weekend at a camp, just our team. We take their cell phones away from them, and we just get to know each other. And we have commitment nights, and we sit around campfires, and people pour their heart out. And a lot of times there's tears, and there's things the kids are dealing with that we don't know as coaches. And it's one of those most powerful weekends that we have of our entire season, way more powerful than any Friday night victory. And it's just another opportunity to reach a kid, and not even as a coach. When you put these kids around each other, these kids talk, and you might get a kid that invites another kid to a service on a Sunday or invites them to a youth group on a Wednesday night. And if those kids aren't put in those situations outside the classroom where they have some freedom to communicate, they may not get that chance, And I know classrooms have changed a little bit, but there's still that you come in, this is how we do it in my classroom, and it should be quiet and you should listen. When you get in the athletic arena, it's all about communication. And I just think it gives kids an opportunity to create these friendships and just create more opportunities to get a better relationship with Jesus, way more than probably if you invited them to church or, if you were trying to tell them, this is who he is. I think showing them through the sport is a way to get kids hooked and give them that lifelong message that's going to save their life.
Yeah, that's so great, man. That's awesome. I didn't know that you guys were doing those retreats, but that's cool. I wish I'd have had that as a high school player, a coach, to do that for me. That's amazing. And I know you've talked about during our time here today, your heart for kids and some of them, how you can help them outside of the football field or the track and all of that, but also parents, what is I wanted to give you an opportunity. What's your message to kids? And then if it's the same or different, what's your message to parents who are going to watch this?
I think first and foremost, I'm not perfect, and I'm going to demand a lot of their sons and daughters, depending on what sport I'm coaching. And there's times that I'm going to screw up as a coach. But I can tell them that it's with the right frame of mind and it's with the right heart. We want to impact kids on a level that when they leave our program, they're better dads, they're better husbands, they are great community members, and that's going to be our ultimate goal. And we're going to try to win and have fun and do those other things. But our ultimate goal is going to be, we want you to become a productive member. And I have a daughter now. I have a daughter that's 3 years old, and that changes your whole perspective. I want kids to graduate from our program, boys, that I would feel confident with taking my daughter out on a date and potentially marrying. And I don't want to raise up young people that I question, would I or wouldn't I? And I think, and I talked to the kids about this the other day. And I asked them, I said, if you had a daughter, would you let them date you right now? It's just things like that I think are the most important. And we're going to do our best. We're not miracle workers. Jesus is. We're going to try to do everything in our power to get them in the right frame of mind. And, we're going to let Jesus do the rest. We're just going to try to create the opportunities and give them the tools and share our personal stories. And we've got coaching staff from all different backgrounds, and we all have stories of things that we did well and didn't do well. And we just try to be real with them. And when we fail and when we don't do it right, we let them know, hey, I failed you. When we talk about those retreats, we didn't start doing those retreats until 2014. I started coaching in 2003. I failed a lot of teams up until that point, until I understood what the true purpose was for me as a coach. And I can't have that time back, but all I can do is share with the kids how I've changed and how I'm, moving forward, what our goals and values are.
That's awesome, man. I'm so grateful for you taking the time to talk to me and talking to me, letting us record it to tell everybody. I mean, the parents that are going to watch this and the kids, just hearing the love in your voice about how you want to make a difference in their lives and how you love Jesus is just awesome, man. So thank you so much for doing it, Brad.
All right. Thank you. Again, I'm very humbled by this opportunity, and, I wish you nothing but the best, and just going into seeing what you're about and where you're from, it's definitely going to be something that takes off. I have no doubt.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you guys can catch up with Brad at camppointcentralathletics.com. And so, Coach Dixon, thank you. This one should publish on May 20th.